Alright guys, good morning, welcome back. It is Wednesday morning, May the 28th. On Monday we had about 2.5 inches of rain. Some of that carried over a little bit into Tuesday morning early, but most of it was on Monday. So I really wanted to get my sweet potatoes planted this week, but it's not looking like it's going to happen because we've got some more rain chances tonight and maybe a little bit Thursday, Friday. It's not great chances, but it's still a little wet in places. Next week looks pretty good, but I don't grow my own sweet potato slips, so I go pick them up from a really big sweet potato farm. And so when you pick them up, you've got about 3-4 days maximum to get them planted. So I have to make sure that I have a good weather stretch when I go pick them up so we can plant them. Hopefully I can pick them up this weekend and we can start Monday. So I told you on the last video I may not have another video until we get the sweet potatoes planted. Well, I was thinking maybe we could do it like now, this part of the week, but it's gonna probably be next week early. So what I'm doing this morning is about to spray the tomatoes. I've never, or haven't shown you my tomato sprayer this year. I think I may have last year. This is a homemade rig that me and my dad built back in the probably late 90s, somewhere around there. And I've used it ever since. So I've used it probably for almost 30 years. It is a 2-row sprayer where I can spray both sides of tomatoes 2 rows at a time. All right, this is it from the back. Your row of tomatoes goes right here and your sprayer sprays out on both sides of the road. Now when the tomatoes were small, I had this nozzle blocked off and I was just using the 2 on the bottom, but now I'm using 3. I've actually got it set up for 4, but I really don't ever use that 4th one to do 3 on both sides. Got a 250-gallon tank. This old running gear was like an antique fertilizer applicator that my dad and granddad had. We pulled it out of the weeds 25 or more years ago and mounted all this together. Runs off the PTO. I've got my pressure gauges there where I can see it. You can tell how old it is because look at those rims on those tires. You can see those spokes. So it's an old piece of iron right there, but I pull it with my Kubota and it does a really good job. You know, you have to have it made where it will go up and over the stakes, and I can drive and do 2 rows at a time. You can see how big the tomatoes are getting too. We're gonna put another string on them probably tomorrow. They've got 4 strings and we'll put a 5th one and then maybe come back and put a 6th one if we need to. tomatoes are looking good, but when you get all this rain, you need to keep the fungicides on them and the insecticides as well. So that's what we do on a schedule. So I'm gonna take off, get you some video of me spraying. I do it when the wind is calm. You know, I don't have to worry about it getting on me. There's no cab on this little Kubota. So, works good. Okay, we made the wings here where they'll fold in too. We just pull a pin. This whole thing folds in, and I can lock it in with this bolt right up here. These are the first cantaloupes here right next door to the tomatoes. Plenty of yellow flowers. Bell peppers will be ready soon also. Pretty much everything's gonna be ready. A little bit sooner than I want, but we'll just have to make do. What you saw there was my regularly scheduled spraying on the peaches, insecticide and fungicide. But I got behind the guys that were picking me a few peaches, so I waited till they got through, went in there and did it. So they brought some boxes in. Let me show you what they brought in. These are the #1 grade. These are the #2 grade. They sure smell good. If you could smell them through the camera, you'd know. Okay, what that means now is we're gonna have to be picking the peaches regularly. If you watched my last video, you heard me say most of my help is not getting here until about 10 days from now. And it takes a lot of my help to plant the sweet potatoes, so we're in a little bit of a bind, but we're gonna have to make do. until the rest of my help gets here. Once everybody's here, then we can have enough people to spread it out and everybody do their thing that they do. I think next year I'm gonna get the visa workers here earlier. I said that last year and I didn't do it. The problem is you have to decide what day they get here, like in March. Well, you don't ever know. Here it is the end of May, and I picked the 7th, 8th of June, that weekend, to get here, and you don't ever know how the crops are going to progress. You don't want them here too early if you don't have enough for them to do either. But I think I'm just going to do that next year, and I'll find something for them to do if I don't have anything to do, but more than likely I will. You may not have been able to tell a whole lot of difference in the number 1 and 2 grade on the camera, but there'll be plenty of time for me to show you in better lighting with them out of the boxes. I can show you all that later. But like when I get something like this that early, when we're not ready to open up and start selling, I call these guys local that sell on the side of the road, and they come get it. So they help me out a good bit until it's time to open up. But when it gets close to opening, when I know, okay, I think we're going to open on this day, then I start stockpiling if we're already picking stuff and saving it for myself, so I'll have enough when we open up. Okay, what I'm doing here is I got out about 24 wood bins, and these are the wood bins we use for sweet potatoes. I got a whole building full of them, but I get out some so we'll have some easily accessible when it gets time to start harvesting our melons. These are what we harvest our watermelons and cantaloupes in on the trailers. Also, I need to move these bins out anyway because I need to make room for me to get my forklift in and out to start bringing out some pallets of empty tomato boxes. And I've got my building crammed full, so I needed to get some out anyway to make room so I can do that. Well, since it's been wet, we've been working the last few days on getting all of our stuff inside behind me set up and ready, and got my pea shellers moved out, putting them in place. Got all my signs and that kind of stuff semi-ready, but we've got to go through and blow out and clean out the shop behind me really good. We're going to do that maybe this weekend. It's kind of nasty. You can't tell that from the picture here, but I'll show you this when we get completely set up, but all my retail tables are in the front. We'll set up our empty boxes here. I'll put them in here once we clean it out. And then we'll do our packing and grading in this area. And then we'll have some pallets set up here. Sacks of peas will go on that rack there in front of the fan. And then I've got my cooler there in the front, and then my coolers out here in the back. Had my coolers on here for maybe a week, 10 days. Let them run a few days, have my guy come out and check them, and something that I have to do every year, make sure they're running and cycling the way they're supposed to. So they seem to be working in good shape. So
I'm really pretty much ready inside except for the cleaning part. And like I said, we'll do that this weekend. And then it's just a matter of being able to harvest something and put it in there and open up. I did talk to my sweet potato man today, and he's put me off one day. So it may be either Monday afternoon or Tuesday before we can get started planting. If nothing goes wrong, we can usually do it in about 2.5 days if we don't have any breakdowns or rainouts or anything like that. So my next video, I hope, is going to show you the sweet potato planting. So immediately we're going to go from finishing the sweet potato planting to probably starting to harvest stuff. I'm going to hold back a person or two, and they're going to have to pick the peaches every other day. But once we get to this point next week, I think the corn's going to be ready. We'll have some tomatoes and peppers and those type things should start to trickle in. So I usually open up to the public once the corn is fully ready, because that's something that I can't really hold on to for a long time, or I don't like to hold on to for a long time. So that's usually helps me decide when to open and when not to open. So we'll definitely have some peaches to go with the corn when it's ready, and probably a few other things. The purple hulls, watermelons, cantaloupes are always mid-June or a little after, and so they're still a couple of weeks away from being ready. Once we get through planting the potatoes, if I have time, we'll make a video out in the field, kind of what everything looks like before we start to harvest. So I appreciate y'all watching. It's so far up to this point, the weather has been pretty good, pretty normal. We have not had any severe weather up to this point. I'm very thankful for that. The rain has been pretty normal, I guess. Temperatures have been pretty normal. So we got a long season ahead of us. Once we start harvesting in June, we'll pretty much be harvesting something or selling something all the way until New Year's, mostly. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing if you have not subscribed to us, and we will see y'all next time.